Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, karibu sana. I hope everyone is doing good. This is Kenya Revolutionary. Kahawa, kahawa. It's early in the morning. Today, we are just going to speak generally, going through the headlines of Kenyan politics and also touch on South African elections. So much is going on down there with Ramaphosa, who will probably he'll have to resign or step down, something. And Jacob Zuma seems to be gaining more legitimacy, influence. Already, he was the most famous, in my opinion. As an outsider looking in, I think Jacob Zuma was the most famous, popular politician candidate of all the candidates. Okay. So we are going to just touch on some things that South Africans are saying and what's going on up there in South Africa. But right now we are starting with Kenya. Of course, this is a Kenyan politics. This channel is about Kenyan politics, but I usually touch on other African countries as it relates to Kenyan politics because it seems that the politics of Africa in general is kind of similar. We kind of face the same things when it comes to elections. There's always election, rigging, then the codes and violence and so forth, and also the Western influence into our elections. It seems to have a common theme, whether it's in South Africa or in Kenya. So we're going to touch on that, okay? But first, let's start with what's going on in our backyard. What's going on in our backyard? Really, what's going on in your backyard? Let's look at some tweets and also listen to some of what is being said out there. I want to start with Wamuchomba, understanding what's the face. She's one of these renegades from UDA party from the Mount Kenya region. She was on Spice FM and she was talking about this finance bill. I know there's a lot of talk, especially for the opposition right now. If you listen to the opposition, what really baffles me is that their concentration seems to be aiming at the president's, personal expenses, how he spends his money. Or let me not say his money, but he's the taxpayers' money. They criticize, I just saw, was it in Daily Nation or something? One of the news reporters, whatever the case, rags, that were talking about how much his shoes cost. Okay. So since the 20 million private jet saga, everything that the president does, whether it's his watch, whether it's his shoes, shirts, whatever it is, the opposition want to highlight how much it costs. And I've been arguing here, there are more pressing issues than the president's, shoes, okay? We have a finance bill. Jimmy and Jiggy told us, and Okiomtata told us that, even before before discussing this finance bill, listen, we are debating about how much taxes should we pay. Should we allow this government administration to get from us? While we never had a public participation during the budget making process, okay? Because remember, the sequence of things is like we have to have a budget appropriation bill where we are told the budget estimates and expenditure estimates, which we never were told, never was debated. We were never consulted. There's no public participation, but yet they passed it. They have a budget, and now they're coming back telling us what they want to tax us, okay? And this is all unconstitutional, okay? So there lies where we should be having the discussion, the debate. That's where the discussion should be held, not before even we get to the finance bill. But no. The concentration right now is how much Ruto's shoes cost, his jacket, his watch, and all this nonsense that are trivial, if you ask me. Okay, I understand the austerity argument about this, but listen, there's more pressing issues than that. We need to know how much, not only how much taxes we should allow this administration to collect from us, we should also look at the budget. If it wasn't passed by the law as the Constitution stipulates, then let's go back and have that discussion before we even get to the finance bill. And number two, speaking of finances, before we even get to the finance bill, speaking of finances, okay, how about we actually have a serious conversation of our debts, our spending, the corruption that surrounds it, the illegal nature in which these debts were acquired. That's a conversation that we should be having. If I was a member of the opposition, or a member of parliament for that matter, whether you're Azimio, Kenya Kwanza, or independent, those are the kind of discussions that we want to have. What is the audit? When they did the audits for the past 10 years or the past administration, what did they find? Okay, because last time I checked, the Constitution says that any public official who misappropriates money is liable for paying that money. Okay, not us, the taxpayers. So all these loans that we are receiving, in fact, today I just read right now that Ruto secured another, I don't know how many billion from South Korea. Okay, bado mnaboro, tunaboro tu for development. Now, is a development. Where is the development? I can't see any development that's happening in Kenya. Those are the discussions that we ought to have, not how much Ruto's shoes cost. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining me right now, please, the first order of business, go ahead and subscribe, share, like. You know the deal as we delve into these issues, okay? I know you might be seeing me on my timeline and you're wondering who this is. That's my channel right there in YouTube. Type Kenyan Revolutionary. Go subscribe and put your notification on so every time I come in, you can always receive the notification, okay? And if you're already subscribed, you know the deal. The first order of business is what? Like the video, okay? And subscribe. And if you want to join the discussion, just let me know. I'll throw you the link. You can come in the studio or you can just make your views known up on the chat, okay? So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Something shocking, something really shocking that I saw that really made my blood boil was something that NTV reported. I hope it's a lie because you cannot be serious when you cannot. Let's just let me read you what I'm talking about, okay? Let me read you what I'm talking about. This is coming from NTV. We are just getting started. We are just getting warm up. Tunaanza bado mambo bado. Let's get to it. This is NTV Kenya. From NTV Kenya, I'll show you the video that I'm talking about. Okay, listen to this. Or rather read this with me, okay? Help me read with this. Read this. Crap. All right, here it is. Let me show you guys. I know you're wondering, you're waiting. Here it is. This is see, department. Should I read the whole article? Let me just go to the article and see if we can get it. Maybe that will help us see the whole picture here. I can't quite get the whole thing. Okay, let me show you the news clip of that. Poleni Sane, but I'll just read it very quickly here before I actually show you the clip. NTV reports that the Departmental Committee of Finance and Planning has hinted that it might not consider the submissions opposing the proposed 2.5% motor vehicle tax. Did you just hear me? Or am I speaking French? Let me just repeat that for you, and I will play the news clip. I read the Departmental Committee on Finance and Planning has hinted that it might not consider the submissions opposing the proposed 2.5% motor vehicle tax. I wonder how you feel about that, this motor vehicle tax thing, okay? This fool is the one who was telling us, if you don't want to pay that tax, then don't drive. That's his argument. I'm just getting started. Grab your popcorn, kachini, tuongee. We are getting started. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are getting started. Okay, let me show you. I'll play you the news clip regarding that news piece of news that you just had. Okay. Ndio hiyo basi tuanze. Are you guys ready? All right, let's play that.
Committee on Finance and Planning has hinted that it might not consider these submissions opposing the motor vehicle tax, citing the financial implications on the 2024-2025 budget. The 2.5% tax, capped at 100,000 shillings, aims to collect a whopping 58 billion shillings in revenue. But as NTV's Sydney Chazima now reports, motor vehicle insurance providers are warning that the 58 billion shilling mark may not be attained, adding that Kenyans will now opt for dubious means to insure their vehicles.
As the second week of the public participation exercise on the Finance Bill of 2024-2025 commenced, motor vehicle insurance providers moved to oppose the newly proposed 2.5% tax on motor vehicles.
We are bringing in an additional cost of another 100,000. In the first place, we are not able to pay the 200,000 shilling instantly. But the 100,000 by way of tax, this has no room for installment. Frankly speaking, I think we are punishing Kenyans.
According to the insurance providers, a majority of motorists are on third-party insurance. They argue that with the new tax, the little margin of those on comprehensive insurance cover will further shrink.
And this has two double effects. One, the penetration, the contribution of insurance to the GDP, of course, will come down, as we demonstrated with what is happening in Tanzania. But more importantly, we'll be exposing to Kenyans. We'll be exposing Kenyans to out-of-pocket expenses.
But the Finance and Planning Committee Chair, Kuria Kimani, claims that it may not be possible to do away with the motor vehicle tax.
On the other option, then, if we have to really get rid of it, we would reduce the budget by 58 billion. Now, the problem is nobody wants the budget. Okay, not this side, but the political side, including the one against it, don't want to reduce the budget. No, I'm telling the budget committee.
The Kenya Private Sector Alliance proposes that instead of the tax on motor vehicles, Treasury and Parliament should effect an additional 1 shilling on the fuel levy. KEPSA also wants Parliament to remove the burden of enforcing the collection of the levy, should it be passed as it is.
Let it not be the responsibility of the insurance companies to be enforcing. Let Kenya Revenue Authority and the NTSA be the ones to actually enforce this, and the insurance industry be relieved from the burden of enforcing compliance with tax legislation.
The nation will be keen to know whether the opposing sentiments and proposals on the motor vehicle tax will be taken into consideration. Sydney Chazima, NTV.
Okay, that Molo MP, I forgot his name. He's a real tool and a proper imbecile, an idiot, to say the least. Okay, how can a public official come out and tell us that a proposed tax that hasn't been passed to become law, hints that we might not be able to do anything about that. We'll just go ahead and pass it. I guess he doesn't get the concept of public participation. It is we, the people, who decide, gives this administration the authority to collect taxes. It is the people. That is the whole point. public participation is about consulting the very people that you want to tax, telling them, hey, listen, this is what I'm proposing, why I'm proposing it, and how it's going to affect you, and what I'm trying to achieve after I tax you. So for this idiot to come in and say this might not be, I don't know, something that cannot be done, you're telling us that, then what's the point of having public participation? And furthermore, we are the ones who are paying those taxes. We can refuse. I think this is the part that he doesn't get. We have to give our consent to the administration or the government, because we are the government actually, but the person running head of the administrative part of government is Ruto and his minions, represented by this idiot from Molo. And we have to give them the authority to tax us. So we can say no, and this thing should not pass. So how dare he comes out there and tell us that, oh, we are not going to, we might not even consider your rejection of this. Public participation is not just so that people see that you presented your proposal to the people. Public participation is about discussing and getting a consensus on the proposed bill, if it's something that the people shall agree upon or disagree on. And if they disagree, then it is rejected. It is not about just discussing for the sake of discussing, but we shall decide already. You don't decide for us. You go consult with us, and we, the people, decide if we want it or not. That's the whole concept, purpose of having a public participation. Shenzi kabisa. Anyway, Wamuchomba was on Spice FM this morning. Let's hear what she has to say. It's kind of lengthy. It's like a 20 something. I'll try to forward it if it's kind of nonsensical. But before I go to Wamuchomba, there's this politician. I forgot his name. Crap. I think he's one of the Azimio folks or something like that. What's his name? Crap. Anyway, before we get that, can we hear from our friend, the corrupt, irredeemably corrupt Linturi? Linturi had something to say. I'm telling you, it's not funny anymore. It's not funny, ladies and gentlemen. It's not funny anymore. It's not. This is not even funny. But let's listen to Linturi, the irredeemably corrupt. Okay, can you guys hear it?
To be self-reliant. We cannot. I have gone out of Kenya begging for food, and as a Meru, tunataka watu walipe kodi, and let me be asked the question. We gave you money in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development. How did you spend that money? That is the question I would want to entertain, and not a question of whether you are paying, you will pay tax or not. Tax has to be paid for us to be reliant, to be self-reliant. We cannot. I have gone out of Kenya begging for food, and as a Meru, that is not something I want myself to get myself into, because when I go begging in Italy, India for rice and other things, and I'm told, I'm sorry, we cannot give you because our country requires rice, and since we do not have enough, you go back home. And when you go back home, there is nothing you are taking home. The people become very helpless. So please, just spare me that shame. Give us money. Let us develop the rice schemes in Pakera, in Mbura, and other areas. Let us get more money to get more fertilizer to give to our farmers as subsidy for us to produce more. And I'm happy to also report that the country right now is has enough maize for itself. We are producing enough maize for ourselves within 1.5 years. That is something we must be proud of. We have increased our milk production and many other areas. So please, muombe ndio watu walipe kodi, wacha mutuulize swali 2027 vile tulitumia pesa.
Ati tuulize swali vile mlitumia pesa. That's Linturi. This man just you know, Linturi should be hung to death. Mithika Linturi should be hanged. He should be taken to committee and hanged before tomorrow morning. We need to stop these shenanigans. We should have these people hanged. Don't jail them. No, do not jail them. Murkomen should be hanged. Every CS in this government should be hanged to death, including Ruto and all the members of the opposition, starting with Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, Kioni, Martha Karua. These people should be hanged. Babu Oweno. All of them. Enough of these jokes. These people should be hanged. We should not take them to jail. We should hang them. All of them. Aaron Chariot, Kalonzo Musyoka, James Orengo. This is a man who was in parliament just the other day, few weeks ago, who everyone and their child knows that he was guilty. He was behind the fake fertilizer. And majority of the parliamentarians voted to impeach him. Then the 11-man task force committee that was formed, who were bribed, came up after a week and told us that there was not enough evidence and spared him. He's still in office telling us to pay more taxes to go towards fertilizer. He tells us that he went to Italy to beg for money, for food, while Kenya has a rich, fertile land that we can grow our own food and be self-sustained. We gave them taxes. How much did we collect last time? Almost 4 trillion in taxes, including the illegal housing levy. The finance bill was illegal too, the one that they had the past year, fiscal year. What did they do with that money? They cannot show us. Governor Baraza is spending 11 million for food only. James Orengo was withdrawing 900 million per week in Siaya Impress account. Ruto is spending 20 million or 200 million. How much is it to go to the US? Running around, borrowing left, right, and center. Taking illegal loans and expecting us taxpayers to pay that, or our kids' kids to pay that. That is treason. It's treasonous from this administration, starting from the Treasury These people need to be hanged. Linturi needs to be hanged. We shouldn't take him to committee. No. Committee. Let's spare a committee for people like that young man who was kicking the police. Linturi should be hanged. Ruto should be hanged. Raila and Uhuru should be hanged. All the members of their administration should be hanged. To Wanyonge, we should get rid of this irredeemably corrupt, shameless politicians. They're not even ashamed of asking for more taxes after misappropriating the money that we already gave them. They can't give an account of what they did with the money that we gave them. But they're coming up again, asking for more and more and more, and asking to tax more. Car taxes, housing levy, sijui nini. The opposition, the fake opposition, the control opposition have been bought. They are part of this criminal enterprise that we call government. Wakicheza mchezo za ujinga ati Gachagua versus Oscar Sudi sijui nini. These are all contorted, scripted drama to fool Kenyans, entertaining us with politics while they loot and sell our country, Kenya, to the West, while they buy properties overseas and even in Kenya, giving up our industries. Ruto is flying to South Korea or whatever the case to go find jobs for Kenyans. How stupid is that? Do you see Russians or Chinese fly to other countries saying, oh, we are going to look for jobs for our people in other countries? Instead of investing in our industries, you improve an economy by increasing production. You produce. We are an agro economy. Let's make more maize, sugarcane, cash crop that we can use and sell for trade. The profits that we get, we can build the infrastructure that we need for transportation, public transportation. We don't have to privatize. This same Molo MP was saying that, you know what? If we even raise these taxes on car, we can have less people to drive, and we can it can be an incentive for foreign investment to invest in public transportation. So you'd rather have an outside private corporation to come build light rail system and take profits and use it the way they want, rather than use the money that you collect from taxes and invest it in things like infrastructure, public transportation, make it cheap, factories for our youth to work, giving them livable wages. With entitlements, packages, healthcare, free healthcare. Why can't we do this? But you'd rather steal the money buy those SUVs. So when you ukiendesha huko ushago, people are clapping at you. Linturi should be hanged. Hanged immediately. He shouldn't be speaking in public. Karibu Godia. All these people who have and are ruling Kenya are cartels. Oh, there are people who walked out during Ruto's speech. I didn't see that. Let me find it. Let me find it. Ruto's speech, was this in Korea? I didn't see that. I didn't see that. I didn't see that. This is ridiculous. I never saw that. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, make sure you like the video. Like the video, and if you have subscribed, go to YouTube right now and find my name is Kenya Revolutionary. Subscribe right now. I'll play the Ruto speech. I don't know what he said. I'll find it. Let's listen to it. I know his speech is probably full of fluff and bullshit. A grade, first grade bullshit. Let's listen to it. Just for shits and giggles. This colonial puppet. Like the video, subscribe.
Which not only diminish our capacity to develop in accordance with our potential, they also actively undermine our investment and achievements. They include an escalated debt crisis, low access to development resources in our international financial markets, high costs of this limited financing, heightened vulnerability to fluctuations in global economy, including inflation, supply chain disruptions, which make the prices of essential goods beyond reach of many. Geopolitical crises and negative impacts of climate change have also made significant contribution to this situation. These challenges underscore the urgent need for a more equitable and inclusive global development financial architecture, beginning with the advancement of contributions to the World Bank concessional lending window to enable African countries to effectively respond to economic shocks and pursue.
Before I even get in, I don't know why he's so obsessed with this restructuring of financial architecture so that African countries can be offered better terms, loan terms by the IMF and World Bank. I've said here repeatedly, the aim is to not borrow from World Bank and IMF. Nationalize your bank and borrow domestically. We have enough money from our taxes, enough to fund anything we want to fund, whether it's in infrastructure, healthcare, anything. We have enough money to do that. We do not need IMF and World Bank nonsense. And if we are to borrow, we should borrow locally. Burkina Faso just had a new leader, Guinea. They all rejected IMF and World Bank because it is them who keep us in poverty. They work in cahoots with this dimwit, giving him a bunch of loans that he knows that they know that he will spend it in his private businesses. But we, the taxpayers, and our children and our children's children are the ones who are going to pay. So we'll be in a perpetual state, indebted to the IMF and World Bank forever.
Development agenda. We are asking at this point Korea, working with other countries, to double its contribution to IDA and working with the International Monetary Fund to consider channeling special drawing rights to the Africa Development Bank so that we can access concessional development financing for African countries. The vision of the Korea-Africa Summit is to bring the inspiring precedent of the miracle of the Han River to bear on Africa's potential to generate shared prosperity for present and future generations. I therefore look forward with great anticipation to engaging in discussions focusing on the following areas. The first critical issue with high development potential and requiring attention is food security. Africa's rich natural resources and growing and increasing youth skilled population present a significant opportunity for growth in agriculture industry.
Food security. You're not going to get food security if you keep on importing food from other countries. Linturi just told us that he went to beg for food in Italy, beg for food in the seeds that we received from Russia. Actually, Russia gave us for free. What I'm saying is this: instead of going to beg from Europe, why is it so hard to invest in our industries? Now, do you see why I'm saying? I had this discussion with somebody in another platform. Now, do you see the importance of having your own industry running efficiently? If Kenya, we can run our industries efficiently, we will not ask for anyone for food. We can produce enough. But there are people we are so colonized and traumatized, okay, and conditioned to believe that we cannot have a government-run industry that can produce enough for us, the wananchi, feed us wananchi, and even have surplus. We can do it. We are able to. So what the government needs to do is to invest in that heavily. Production. Not going to Korea to ask for billions and food and all this nonsense.
And trade. I applaud Korea's willingness to collaborate with Africa in enhancing food production. This support is vital, and when expanded to include sharing of cutting-edge agricultural technology and expertise, will be transformative. Therefore, it is important that this summit will point the way to the future for initiatives like the K-Rice Korea program, of which Kenya is an active participant, to be extended across Africa. Such programs are not just about enhancing production, but are also about building capacity. As stability.
All right, enough of that crap. I really didn't want to hear the rest of that bullshit. We get the point. It's all the nonsense. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do it. Sorry, Goodney. I did not see people who walked out. I didn't see. Korea conference. I didn't see that. Um, let me try to find it. Let's see. So he addressed the Kenyan community in Korea. Let's see. There's another one he was addressing. Let's see if this one is it. There's a new news clip on that. He was addressing the Kenyan community in Korea.
Cultural export, such as tea. Kenya is targeting opportunities in technology, trade, investment, and maritime operations.
Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, there's another one I see. I think this is the one. I don't see people walking out, but I'll play it. Let's see what's. Did you say that there's one that he was playing that people walked out? I actually don't see it, but
From the Asian nation, President Ruto arrived in South Korea yesterday for a 3-day state visit.
We are looking forward to a couple of meetings, and amongst the items that we are looking to discuss with our counterparts here, matters of security and how we can enhance our security posture as a country, how we can build our Navy and other security agencies that will help us not just secure our country, but be able to exploit, much more importantly, as part of the program that we have, the blue economy. That's why, for the first time, I have set up a ministry that will be.
Anyway, so he's talking about boosting our Navy and helping the military. Guess who's going to help the military? It's the US and the British. That's why they are going to build their US base in, is it somewhere in Lamu or whatever the case is? And guess what's happening? By that, we are at war with the Houthis in Yemen. Houthis who are said to be supported by the Iranians in the war against the Saudis who have been bombing them with the help of the US and the British. So Kenya is also signing up to be the enemy of Houthis in Yemen. I'll show you, there's a news clip about that too. So Kenya, you've signed up for this. Once you agree to be an ally, a non-NATO ally in sub-Sahara let's see. Let me show you that too. There was a news. I was shocked. So right now we are at war. Then we are at war with the Yemenis, basically. Yemen. Okay. This is what you do when you sign up. Trying to be
Taarifa za usalama na utawala wa ulimwengu. Vita vya Yemen vinavyoongozwa na waasi wa Houthi vimevutia Kenya kuteuliwa na Marekani pamoja na Umoja wa Ulaya EU katika kupambana na waasi hao. Kenya imechaguliwa na Marekani na Umoja wa Ulaya kujiunga na jeshi la majini katika vita dhidi ya waasi wa Houthi huko Yemen, siku chache baada ya Rais William Ruto kuthibitisha kupeleka polisi wa Kenya katika nchi ya Haiti. Sasa Kenya itatumika kwa vita hivyo, kazi iliyokuwa ikifanywa na Ushelisheli.
Waasi wa Houthi wakiungwa mkono na Iran wamefanya mashambulizi zaidi ya 30 dhidi ya meli za kibiashara kando ya bahari ya Red Sea na kuvuruga njia za biashara za kimataifa na kusababisha kuongezeka kwa wasiwasi katika maeneo mbalimbali duniani. Msimamo wa kimkakati wa Kenya na mfumo wa kisheria umefanya kuwa mshirika bora katika juhudi hizi za kimataifa. Nchi ya Kenya inasemekana itachukua jukumu la kushughulikia washukiwa waliokamatwa na meli za kivita, kazi ambayo hapo awali ilifanywa na nchi ya Ushelisheli.
Atlanta can intercept what are suspected vessels. The problem is that right now they have to catch and release because they cannot keep the offenders on board for too long. They would have to go to the nearest port and search to drop them there for prosecution.
Operesheni ya ulinzi ya usalama wa baharini ya Umoja wa Ulaya EU NAVFOR inapania kupanua mamlaka yake katika maeneo ambayo mihadarati, ulanguzi wa kibinadamu umekithiri, na Kenya itakuwa mwenyeji katika operesheni hizi.
Security at sea is an all hands activity. So we have to know each other, we have to practice to get ready, and these activities will be done with another regional actors, the ones that they want to come with the for Atlanta to achieve the final security at sea.
Ushirikiano huu unajiri kufuatia waasi wa Houthi kudai kuidungua ndege isiyo na rubani ya Marekani na kuangamiza meli ya mafuta kwa kombora. Mwaka 2023 kwa vuguvugu la Wahouthi ilihusika na vita vya Israel na Hamas kwa kurusha makombora kuelekea Israel na kuvuruga biashara ya kimataifa kwa kushambulia meli za kibiashara katika bahari ya Red Sea. Marekani na washirika wake wamejibu mashambulizi yaliyolenga kuvuruga uwezo wa Wahouthi. Kulingana na wachambuzi, jukumu la Kenya limezua maswali chungu nzima kuhusu kutuma majeshi yake katika nchi za mbali.
In the past, we've been having challenges, especially the issue of piracy, terrorism, but lately these issues have been addressed.
Haya yanajiri siku chache baada ya Kenya kuteuliwa hivi majuzi kuwa mshirika mkuu wa mashirika yasiyo na NATO na Marekani katika ziara iliyokamilika hivi karibuni nchini Marekani, na kuwa nchi ya kwanza katika Afrika kusini mwa jangwa la Sahara kupokea hadhi hii, ikiungana na mataifa mengine ya Afrika kama vile Misri, Morocco na Tunisia. Hatua hiyo inaonekana kuwa muhimu kwa usalama wa kikanda unaotarajiwa kuimarisha uwezo wa Kenya katika operesheni za kukabiliana na ugaidi na changamoto zingine za usalama Afrika Mashariki. Taswira ya nia ya kimkakati ya Marekani katika kukabiliana na ushawishi wa mataifa mengine yenye nguvu duniani kama vile China na Urusi. Kenya inapoingia katika ulingo wa kimataifa katika nafasi hii, maswali yanazidi kuibuka kuhusu athari na usalama wa taifa letu na miundo misingi ya kiutawala itakayosaidia shughuli hii ya kimataifa. Hii ni baada ya misheni ya Haiti kuidhinishwa licha ya tetesi kutoka pande tofauti nchini Kenya kulaani hatua hiyo.
Okay. So you see there, we are basically an American and British colony. Well, we were still a colony, but officially we are doing the bidding for them. We are going to send our troops in Haiti or Haiti, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And we are going to get involved in the Yemenis problems with the Houthis. We are officially enemies of the Houthis. You know, for the Houthis to reach us to actually cause terror in Kenya, it's not so hard because Yemen iko hapo tu karibu na Saudi Arabia huko hapo, wakati they can just come down hiyo hapo waingie hiyo that's water called, waingie Djibouti, Ethiopia, Somali, make their way down to Kenya and do some damage. And that explains why the British and the United States want to build a base in Lamu. That way they can bring their heavy artillery, whether it's tanks, helicopters, and all that stuff. And they're not going to use their soldiers. They're going to train our young people and then send them to Yemen, uko Djibouti, uko Kachapane to die, fight their war. Why? Because Ruto came in and sold us out. Alikuja akasign hizo vitu. That's why they gave him the private jet to fly around the world and do the Americans' bidding, fight American wars. So we shall become a target. Total sellout. This did not start with Ruto, to be fair to him, but he also bears blame. Total puppet. I said it a year ago. Ruto is a puppet. And not only him, his predecessors too, including the opposition, who have been bought and sold. Tell me, what are the opposition talking about right now? The amount of how much Ruto's shoes is cost. That's what they're talking about. No one is talking about the Houthis, how that can be dangerous to us, how that American base coming to Lamu is not something that we should allow as a sovereign nation. No, the opposition are not talking about that. Raila ashapata 200 million from Sakaja. He's comfortable. He's in UK. Ako Mombasa, sijui anapatiana nini. He's hoping to go to AU. They're going to help him go to AU. He doesn't care. His silly supporters washakufa. No one has been compensated. Mulienda maandamano mkachinjwa kama kuku. Yeah, anaenda AU. He secured AU by sacrificing you idiots. He's gone. Na amewacha hapo mkipiga makelele mambo ya finance bill na hiyo ujinga nyingine. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Now Ruto is pretending to have this difference between him and Kajagwa. It's a fake beef. Ni kuwa bamboozle. Take your mind off what's really happening. Easy, the topic is Gachagua. Gachagua has been trending for the past 1 week. For what? The topic is Muguka. That's what we are debating, really. Muguka. Musilete Muguka Mombasa. Musilete Muguka Mombasa. Musilete Muguka Mombasa. And Gachagua. That's what's trending. It's been trending for about 2 weeks now. Na hapa mnaekwa hapa mnaenda kuchinjwa huko Haiti. Mkishachinjwa Haiti mtaenda kuchinjwa Yemen pia. Mkishachinjwa huko taxes zenu pia zitapelekwa juu. Mulipe ushuru mo. Magari ushuru imeenda juu. Chakula ushuru imeenda juu. Nyinyi hiyo sio debate. Debate ni Ruto amevaa viatu ambao zina cost sijui 1,100. Hiyo ndio topic na Muguka. Muguka inaua watu Mombasa. Debate moto. Mambo chamre. While your country is being destroyed, nyinyi mnapigania Muguka na Gachagua. Ati Gachagua, Mount Kenya. The topic is Gachagua has started a new political party. Sijui Gachagua is being mistreated by Ruto. Sijui Gachagua askizani na Ruto. Gachagua na Oscar Sudi, sijui watu wa Mount Kenya, Muguka, sijui ni. Endeleeni tu na Muguka. Zungumzeni mambo ya Muguka. Utamka hii country itakuwa sio yako, sio yenu. Hiyo shamba yako utaambiwa sio shamba yako, hauwezi kulima kwa hiyo shamba mpaka ukuwe na license, na hiyo license ni milioni 1 ulipe kabla hujaweka ninio mimea unapanda, na watakwambia hii mimea gani utapanda. Sasa hii bado unapiga makelele Muguka na sijui Mount Kenya, watu wa Mount Kenya, Muguka Mount Kenya na sijui nini. Kenyans are chills because they don't want to break up the cycle. They are used to the corruption. Of course. Kila mtu anahongwa. Mnatafuta njia ya kutengeneza pesa kwa njia ya halali. Fight for the nation. That's the only land you have. Hata to those of us who live in the diaspora. Hata ukinunua shamba huku, hii sio, you can't really enjoy it. Huku ni kwa wenyewe. The true land ni ile ya Kenya. Na land paka upiganie. Land, hey, I'll show you a quote here by what's his name? This South African presenter. He has a, I think, what's his name? Panetta or something. I forgot his name. Crap. But before we go to South Africa, I want to maintain Kenya. Tusikie Ngunjiri. Ngunjiri is an empty debe who pretends to have been seen light now. Kimani Ngunjiri. He was UDA, now he is anti-UDA. Ni majama wale wa KANU. Always ni kama bendera. Anapepea tu na ninio, the wind. Once he discovers that he can't eat here anymore, this thing is unpopular na anaruka kwa ninio wengine. Alafu anajifanya he has seen the light. Sort of like Martha Karua. Martha Karua was very comfortable in Kibaki's administration. Tena she was fighting valiantly for Kibaki. Once she found out that Kibaki amemruka Sandi, anajifanya ati sasa she's for constitution, the law. Hata kashikana na baba. Pretender. Let's listen to Kimani Ngunjiri. Let's listen to what he has to say. Mnataka kusikia Ngunjiri? Let me play Ngunjiri. Ngunjiri. Another idiot. Useless kabisa. Anyway.
That seems to be embraced in the country.
Ngoja kidogo.
The CS Interior is very firm on this matter, saying we don't want to go back to the very dark moments of 2007, 2008. Let's not drift from the persons who drive the system.
Let me ask you, where is he coming from when he's talking that? Can you try to get what is coming when he's saying that? Where is he coming from now to say that? What have happened? Who is putting a Benedict we are talking about here? You are not showing us who talked to that. They are just talking for something they are creating, but we don't know. You could have brought us who is talking in a different way on the tribalism or something, then now we can be able to discuss.
Let's try and follow Honorable Mujiri. You have followed, I know you're in this country, you follow the politics, and we do not want to speculate. But there's a time the deputy president was in a different function and Sudi was in a different function. There seemed to be a back and forth here and there based on certain people in certain regions or tribes being used to hit the office of the deputy president. Those are tribal or ethnic lines, if anything was to come by.
That's
so
what
is
I'm
it drawing
you.
from that?
Come out on how it is started so that now it can be discussed.
Okay.
Because
Limuru 3.
Limuru 3, let me tell you, there's one thing I will not agree. I was born as a Kikuyu. I did not apply to be born as a Kikuyu myself. I don't know how I was born. I am a Kikuyu and I'm there. When other tribes meet, there's no problem. But when Kikuyus meet, there's a problem. And that is something I've been carried many years by many people. Nyanza people meet. No problem. They talk about themselves, about their culture, they do that. Ukambani, they meet. Although Mkambani is Yonagi sana mkikutana, I don't see you more meeting. But all other people meet and talk and do their culture and all. But when Kikuyu meet,
Is it the meeting or the agenda of the meeting?
you see, you know about that meeting, I was
Yes.
not supporting the
Okay.
Lemuru 3.
All right.
But as a clever mzee, I was waiting. Let them talk so that we can know what are they talking about. Let people talk so that you can be able how to handle what are they trying to say. Like now, I got about two things or three. One, they did not have any agenda. It was politics. Because the two issues I got there is to abuse the president and to abuse the deputy president. And they did it. Those two things. If they had agenda and a serious agenda, and I want you to understand me, I stand from both sides when I see something going wrong. If they had a good agenda of what they are saying, the economy and all those things, they could have written agenda, then take to the system. If they are from Mount Kenya, then they could have taken to Gachagua, then Gachagua will take maybe to the cabinet. But now they met. So what after that? What has happened? Nothing. So that one was political. I agree it was political.
All right.
But don't refuse to people to talk. Let them talk so that we can understand how maybe to cure them or the injection we can give them or understand them so we can be able to implement things. You get it? But when people meet, then we start challenging. Only Kikuyus when they meet. And I will repeat that several times. When other people meet, there is no problem. When people meet, it's Mongeke. When the Kikuyu meets, they have agenda. Which agenda? Listen to them. Nobody will refuse to talk. Nobody will refuse to meet. Like now in Ukambani, if you call me and I come there, I will come as Sakuji as your friend. I will listen and I will listen to the culture which is going on there. And those are the things we need to balance. We don't want just to hit other people. Like now the police we have been having, Nyanza people are bad, Leader Odinga is bad. That thing was put to the community of Kikuyu inside until Kikuyu believe that Leader Odinga is bad. But when you ask him, what has he done? There is nothing.
All right.
It's just things was put politically to other tribes that these people are not good.
You know,
but they are not, there's nothing like that.
I wanted to, one, from the statement made by the president, I fully agree with him that Kenya should not allow themselves to be divided along tribal lines. However, that is ethnic group.
Okay. Gujiri makes the point that he says that he was not born, he did not choose to become a Kikuyu. He was born a Kikuyu, and that's just what he is, which I agree with him. No one chooses to be a Kikuyu or Luo or Kamba or whatever the case is, okay? You're born who you are and, you know, you ride with it. And again, I've always driven to this point. Nobody really cares much about Kikuyus meeting. They can meet anytime, anywhere, and discuss whatever they want to discuss. Again, you know, I don't know why people were not telling him this. Maybe I didn't watch the whole thing, but the problem is not that Limuru 3 was a problem because Kikuyus are meeting. The problem is that the historical significance of Limuru meeting, Kikuyus meeting in Limuru, the so-called Limuru 1, Limuru 2, Limuru 3. Limuru 1 was about Jomo Kenyatta and all the Kikuyu elites that actually after the meeting, it was all about consolidating power. And also after that is when the whole land thing happened, you know. Kenyatta alikuja akagawia wa Kikuyu wenzake land and, you know, political positions, which still runs to this day. Kikuyus still hold most influential position of influence in Kenya. I'll give it to them. They are good business people, big business people, and all that, okay? But I'm just saying, given the historical facts, Kenyatta, alisema, you know, wacha wakule, okay? They divided up, gave all the lands and all that stuff, and put them in position, okay? And other communities felt a certain way about that. Then came Limuru 2, which is, it was what, 2012 or something like that. And guess what? They declared the son of Jomo as the Mudamaki, the king, the representative of the Mount Kenya, okay? The son of the very person who, you know, alianza hii ukabila after that Limuru won, okay? So when Martha Karua and Kioni called for Limuru 3, everyone was asking, okay, so what are they up to this time, okay? Because we see like, yeah, all right. So that's basically why people feel a certain way about Limuru 3. It's not the fact that it's just Kikuyu meeting to discuss their own issue. And that's why I agree with Jimmy Wanjigi, and I said it even before I had Jimmy Wanjigi speak it. I said there's nothing wrong with them having a discussion, but it would have been better if they met and made their issues a national issue, present their case, okay? Whether it's the coffee, story of coffee or whatever, make it a national issue. Don't just limit it to just the Kikuyu Mount Kenya community. Because yes, uchumi inachapa kila mtu, hata Wakalenjin, Wajaluo, Waluya, wale, okay? So don't make it, it will have been better that way because of the historical, you know, background story about Kikuyus meeting in that. And again, I've said this, the overall Kikuyus are always viewed as the firstborn of Kenya, okay? Because of course, most of them were involved in the Mau Mau thing, fighting the British and all that stuff. And after that, so that's why the other communities in Kenya look at Kikuyus like that, okay? So for them to meet, they should be a little bit, make it a more, let them not portray this feeling that we are better than others, okay? We are more successful than others, because the reality is most Kikuyus ni masafara tu kama other communities, okay? The class is not about Kikuyus or Luos versus Kikuyu, or the country versus Kikuyu. The competition is actually the rich versus the poor, okay? So this whole discussion of Limuru, they need to understand why people feel a certain way about it, okay? It's never against, it's not the world, it's not Kenyans going against Kikuyus, no. It's just that historically, we know the significance of that meeting. All right. Goody is telling me, Kenya Rebel, don't you think that other tribes admire Kikuyus because they look after each other? If all other tribes had a kingpin representing them, then Kenya would be great. Let's make Kenya great. Other tribes have kingpins. I mean, Raila is basically has been the voice of Luos. I'm just using him as an example. Voice of Luos for a long time. Okay? And Luos have actually been rallying around Raila for a long time. Okay? I don't see any difference between the Kikuyus and other tribes. Like I say, the difference is that, Jomo Kenyatta, in my view, this is my view, Jomo Kenyatta, when he, usurped power and became the president after becoming prime minister without being voted as a president, he just switched over. I was like, he was the first prime minister, then he switched over and said, hey, listen, I'm the president now. Anyway, but after he did the whole land grab and put in a lot of Kikuyus in positions, in governmental position, that's when it all started. Hapo ndio kabila sasa ikaanza kuchemka vizuri. Okay? And from there on, yes, Kikuyus, let's make a distinction between the Kikuyu elite and the Kikuyu as a community in general. Okay? So the elite, those who became the elites within the government, ambao walipora mali, took this land grabbing and all this, and became super rich after the Kenyatta government, okay? These people were still in the system even during Moi. Moi tried to get rid of them and all that stuff. They came back during Kibaki, and again it happened under Uhuru. So it's not so much that other communities look at Kikuyus as, we want to be like them. It's more like people look at these Kikuyu elites as people who represent the Kikuyu community. But there's a huge, in my view, there's a huge disconnect between the Kikuyu community as a whole and their elites. Their elites use their community, to do their, dirt. For example, if you were to go after Uhuru Kenyatta today, if you were to arrest him for, his corrupt deals and the people he killed in Nyanza, he will start saying, hey, unaona, wananimaliza. He'll probably go back to Kiambu and say, Ishaweri, he will say, hey, unaona, they are targeting me. Kikuyus were being prosecuted. And there are people who will actually feel sorry for him coming from his tribe, okay? So, to my point, I don't think other communities look at Kikuyus as we want to be like them. It's the same setup everywhere. Because if you look at the Luo elites, Luo have that Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is a con man. He's taking advantage of his people. But again, if anything happens, he will come up and say, no, I'm being targeted. I'm being fighting for you. People go die, whatever. And he doesn't care about them. He just uses them for political clout, whatever the case is. The same thing the Kikuyu elites do to their people. You see people, sisi watu wa Mount Kenya, sisi watu wa Mount Kenya. Gachagua, Sisi watu wa Mount Kenya, but what have you done for the people of Mount Kenya? What has Gachagua done for the people of Mount Kenya? Besides just making noise, watu wa Mount Kenya, you see what I'm saying? So there's only two classes, the super rich and the rest of us, the community. But these people who are in political elites, they use their community to justify or to camouflage their corrupt nature. Okay? I remember that reporter who asked Mama Ngina, hey, Mama Ngina, you have a huge land in Rift Valley or whatever the place is. You have a huge land. Why don't you use it to place the IDPs, the Kikuyus that were chased away after the 2007 post-election violence? Why can't you use your land to house these people, who most of them were Kikuyus? And guess what? Your interview is Mamisho Hapo. Mama Ngina ended that interview right there. She has 5,000 acres of land? But she could not even saidia the IDPs. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like these elites care about their community. They just use their community to shield themselves or hide them. They hide behind their community when we point out the evil that they do. But the setup is the same everywhere, whether it's the Luya Nation, Mulembe Nation, whether it's Nyanza, whether it's the Kisi, it's the same setup. The leaders are corrupt, but they use their community to hide or to, to hide from justice. Okay? From the things. So to your statement there, Goodyear, I don't think other communities look as envy the Kikuyus per se. I don't think so. We are kind of set up the same way. We have our political kingpins, so to speak. Kalonzo, the same thing, okay? Kalonzo with the Kambas. We have this, that's why we call them tribal chieftains, okay? They just think they are, Right. Whether it's the land in Mombasa, land in... she has land everywhere. The Kenyattas have land everywhere. Yes, Raila looks after himself and his family. Same thing with the Kenyattas. Looks after himself and his family. Okay? But, you know, since we have this disparity between the rich and the poor, there's a huge gap. So we have people who are really poor with almost no education. So it's very easy to manipulate them. Okay? That's why you see a lot of youth who don't have money, have no education, have no jobs. Raila akisema endeni mkaninio, endeni mkang'oe reli huko, go protest and beat up the police, mwanze vita na polisi, they will not think twice because they have nothing to, you know, they have nothing to lose. They have no jobs, they don't have, they're idle, they don't have, wanaenda wanakunywa, wanavuta bangi, wanapewa shilingi 200 or whatever. They all go there out there, cause chaos, die. Raila doesn't care about them. Raila actually uses them as leverage to negotiate for AU seat. See what I'm saying? So that's the same setup in every community. It's just not limited to Kikuyu community or Luo community or Kisii community. It's everywhere. We have tribal chieftains, okay, who take advantage of the common mwananchi. Yeah, so that's what it is. Remember also the fight between mountain and valley. Yeah, you know, there's always been tribal war. I remember in 1992 Molo between, was it Kikuyus and Nandis, Kalenjins? There's been fights between Kalenjins and Luos. I mean, we just saw that in, was it in Kericho? Not Kericho. So, is it Sondu? Was it last year, Sondu? Where Kisumu County meets Ninio, the other county. I forgot which one. Is it Rift Valley or whatever? I forgot. Was it in Sondu? Sondu somewhere. Somewhere, yeah, where the Kalenjins started attacking Luos, and Luos, it's always been there. Kurias and Luos, it's been there. It's been there, okay? Kuna vita. Even in 1992, kulikuwa majimbo where the Costarians were attacking people, watu wa bara, in Likoni. Remember that? Likoni, there was like people were being hacked to death in Likoni, where watu wa coast were targeting watu wa bara, Luos, Luyas. This has been happening in Kenya, all over Kenya. So this is not new, okay? This is not new. Raila promising the 600 per household was a mistake. Raila was full of it. That's I can tell you about it. Raila is not going to... Raila needs to just go somewhere and disappear, okay? He's done. There's nothing he'll bring of great value. Now, something that I want to touch on here, which is going to lead us to another segment that we're going to kind of get to, is this whole politics of I don't know why my thing is doing this. Why is this thing doing this? Okay. All right. Something else that I wanted to talk about is the influence of the West in African politics, in African elections. Usually, I made a video about this, and it was about this professor who was highlighting how the West, through the CIA, were going to influence the elections in South Africa by using the DA party, Democratic Alliance, I think that's what they call it. It's the Afrikaners, Ninio, de Klerk and Yawazungwa, South Africa. The party, that is the party they were going to use to actually try to rig the elections. And the funny thing that I've noticed, and it's very common in Kenya, this is where the connection I'm bringing, is that every time these elections are rigged, they always try to negotiate for a coalition government, which is kind of something that's being discussed in South Africa. I don't know why. But I just found it very interesting. Just like 2007, when Kibaki clearly lost. I mean, everyone, if you were there, if you were alive then and you are of adult age, thank you, Karibu Wilbon. Nice seeing you. Please like the video, share, like, comment, do all the good stuff, subscribe. It's always like a trend, the same theme. Every time there's a foreign hand in African election, they always try to rig and prop up the losing political party that they know that lost, the one that they support. And after that, they kind of usually try to negotiate for a government of national unity, a coalition government. Remember in 2007, okay? The West favored Kibaki, of course, in that phase, okay? Raila clearly won. It was known. Unfortunately, tuliingia vita. Then there was a coalition government. Excuse me. The same thing happened in 2017. What's his face? Uhuru Kenyatta lost. We all know that. Supreme Court did what it did. Maraga was brave enough to do that. Then, we know what happened. But again, there was a coalition government. Of course, this time there was a handshake, which gave Raila some powers here and there, okay? Same thing 2022 was different. But Raila on this, Raila alipewa pesa yake and, Kambio enda AU, so he's quiet. When was the last time you heard about Raila speaking? Nowhere. But anyway, the point I'm driving is this. Every time the West are involved in an election and the candidate that they support loses, they always want to make it a coalition government. 2027, I will tell you this right now. If we have a strong enough candidate, anyone who has a reasonable following, I mean, I don't see anyone right now, but I'm pretty sure if somebody stands up, I'm just throwing a name there, and is obviously more popular than Ruto, you will see that there'll be election rigging probably, because right now Ruto is the West's favorite, and they'll try to make sure that he wins 2027. Okay? So if someone comes up and run against Ruto in 2027, right now I don't see anyone who can. There's no one, who has enough, following. Let me just say that. Even Raila does not have enough following. People are tired of him. Martha Karua, I don't see it. But if anyone stands up and really is popular, we might have a government of a coalition government. Now, it might happen. As we have discussed here, if Raila fails to go to AUC, okay, AU, and he comes back and say, hey, I'm running one more time, we will not have a winner, but we shall have a coalition government. And coalition, we already have the setup through NADCO. I mentioned this because it's very, very similar to what's happening in South Africa. The script is the same. There was a lot of irregularities in the voting process, okay, or the election process, okay. There's some ballots that were found, were stashed somewhere. Some was thrown in the government, in the garbage. I mean, it was so clear that MK Mkoto probably won, Jacob Zuma, that is, who is the most famous candidate, okay, and they made sure that Jacob Zuma does not make the 51 plus. I think they have the same thing as 51 plus as Kenya, okay, to become the president, okay? So they stole enough to make him come, I think, second or third or something like that, okay? So the ANC maintains the lead with, I think, 40-something. Then now the party that the CIA or the Western government wants to come into power came in third, I think, the DA. And now there's negotiations where they want the DA to have discussions with ANC. ANC is not popular, okay, because most of them are sellouts, okay? But that's what I'm trying to talk about. I'm saying they're trying to bring their own person, their own people, their own puppet to be part of government. And that's what seems to be happening in South Africa. But ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk about South Africa, but I'm kind of running out of time. Okay, running out of time. I think I might do this later on, not right now, but maybe later on today. Anyway, in other news, as I wrap up, what's his face? The sister to not Olenti Mama, Olekina, became the mayor of some place in Ireland. I forgot where. So yeah, congratulations to her. I don't know what the name of the town is, but like I usually say, I was disappointed with Olekina Ledama when he said that Kenya was better off under the British rule than it was in Kenya. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, it's been 1 hour 25 minutes. I will come in later. I think I will talk about the South African elections updates, what's going on there, and how it's similar to what has been happening in Kenya. Yeah, it's mayor of city of Belfast. Okay. So congratulations to her. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I will talk about the South African electoral process, the whatever is happening there, and compare it with the Kenyan elections later on this evening. For now, it's been 1 hour 25 minutes. Please do me one favor. Just go ahead and like my video. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. So subscribe to my channel. All of you there in X, now I on Apple X. And then in your tech, all of you, go to my channel. It's Kenya Revolutionary. First of all, subscribe and make sure you like it. Subscribe, then you like it, okay? And put the notification on your phone or whatever the case is. So when I come in later on today, you can always find me. Utapata yung bing, bing, bing. Simu yako itapiga hiyo, itakupatia hiyo notification, whatever. Ikuambie niko live. And you can join me in the comment section. Join Goodia and Mary Wilborn. Tuongee siasa. Ama namna gani? So I'll come back later. I'll talk about probably the South African elections. And also, we shall continue talking about the Kenyan situation. I shall listen to more of what's happening. I hate talking about Gachagua and all the stuff. That's why I'm not too excited about that. But anyway, thank you so much. Goodyear, I'll see you later. And Mary Wilborn, I'll see you later too. And all of you at X now on Apple, thank you so much for watching. Thank you again for the umpteenth time. Go ahead in my YouTube. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Mnaona jina pale. You see that name up there? Kenya Revolutionary. You'll find me on YouTube. Subscribe and make sure you like before you even leave. Go like the video, subscribe, put your notification on so every time I come in, you can always see me. And next time I'll throw in the link to get you into the studio. So if you want to discuss face to face, hey, where is I thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, and I'll see you guys later. Okay? All right. Peace and blessings.